why is there a hype about the hyperscalers? And in telco we used to have the IT clouds. It's well established, and telco cloud starting from 2015. So what is the difference here, and what is the value proposition provided by the hyperscalers? I also require like you two to give me your insights here. Sharifi.
I think it's another piece of the other hypes that we are facing, game like the edge and the 5G and 6G. It's a piece of the equation, also a piece of the puzzle. I think it's in our responsibility to figure out how we can build this proper architecture. There is no one today in the market who has the end-to-end view. There is a hype, of course, because when you look at the enterprises, like for example, as Michael mentioned, digital banks today, the new banks, are spinning up their entire bank, which usually takes a couple of years to build in a year or less, just to build a full digital bank. Like Revolut, Weo Bank, Live Digital Bank from AMBD, and many others, they all built on Azure today, and it took them almost 9 months journey just to spin up the entire digital bank. So I think time to market is crucial for the telco, which is, of course, all telcos are striving to go into that direction. I need to build a portfolio to go to market in a couple of weeks or 3 months or a quarter or even less. This is one of the things. The second part is that the ecosystem, the marketplace that the telco provides, at least it has a 5,000 vendors who are already onboarded, certified. There's a life cycle management around the certification process. And we used to build this in the private cloud and telco cloud with at least a year or two.
Yep.
And we also are of managing this life cycle. The third bucket is that now to lean with the telco perspective, with the acquisition, the partnerships, the certifications that is happening today, and having an ecosystem that is distributed, managed from the cloud, adding AI on top that can even add a lot of use case from operational perspective to have this autonomous network. That brings a lot of attractiveness in the portfolio, right? Especially with operators. Now I can build like what AT&T did. If you looked at the CTO article he announced, and especially that the workload now went live in MWC, full 5G core on the cloud and radio, fully operated from a distributed architecture. Their main perspective was, I don't want to operate and focus on the infrastructure, building the full software-defined network, storage-defined network, and compute, and then managing on top of it a mono layer, and then go into the details of orchestration. I just need to build applications. I just need to focus on building a CNS. And this is what we did with AT&T as an example, that we took away the infrastructure, right? We are managing them. We're still giving them at on-prem, which is meeting the sovereignty. And also, they are focusing only from a development, maintaining the full application suites from IoT, 5G slice for a specific industry, a private 5G network to a specific customers, applications for B2B. So I think this is basically why there is a lot of hype, because of the potential that we can provide as hyperscalers and the time to market, of course, of spinning up those instances. Michael, I'd like also to hear your perspective.
So I think Sharif, you raised a very good point. So let me, in my opinion, the hype or the why the topic is hotly debated is because of a fundamental question. What is a telco's business, right? Is it to build and manage infrastructure or to provide a service to its end customers, right? This is the important question. And of course, it does not apply everywhere, but if we go back to the middle of last century, AT&T, again as an example, was designing and building its own chips and its own fixed line switches and its own handsets, right? And today, this is, come on, nobody thinks that AT&T or Deutsche Telekom, or however big you are as a tier 1 or tier 0, you are going to build your own telco switches or IP routers and so on, right? Most of these, they realize that we are not in the business of building telecom equipment. We're going to spin these off and sell that IP. I mean, out of AT&T came out Bell Labs, which eventually came to Lucent and then became Alcatel, and today is part of Nokia, right? I mean, this is the history of, and the cloud is the same. I mean, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, 60 years ago, 70 years ago, 80 years ago, 90 years ago, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 300 years ago, 400 years ago, 500 years ago, 600 years ago, 700 years ago, 800 years ago, 900 years ago, 1,000 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 today, telcos said, we will build our own clouds. They spent billions of dollars on R&D and investments and so on. Some of them had some limited levels of success. Some of them failed completely and decided to completely spin it off. But the point is that as a telco, it's not your core business to build these, because you're not gonna make any money out of it in the end. These are infrastructure. They're the plumbing of your service. And it's better that, as Sharif said, you better focus on your application layer or service layer and focus on your customer experience and so on. And by the way, it's even happening with pieces of infrastructure that we used to think are integral to telco, like towers and fiber and so on, which today a lot of the major big players are spinning off these assets, creating another company that manages purely these assets, and the telco is just renting space on a tower from a tower co, or leasing fiber capacity and so on. And they're focusing on their business, which is the end service, right? So it's exactly the same concept. Why do you build your own when you can give it to somebody else who knows how to do it better? This is their core business, and they will innovate and make it much more productive because they can sell it to a wider set of customers. And you focus on your own business.
Yeah, I acknowledge these 2 points and what Sharif said. I'll just add 2 things here that I can see that that's the theme of most of the offerings in the market. Like the message is that you don't need to care a lot about the infrastructure. You only need to care about your business and your applications. And that's why it makes sense to have such solution in the ground, to have someone who is giving you like infrastructure, cloud or service, and you just care about the app onboarding. However, you mentioned Michael, AT&T, but this is something that actually sometimes causes confusion, because, as you said, a few years back, the same operator was advocating getting into the infrastructure stuff and software, and AT&T was really doing huge effort in this layer, contributing to many open source groups, putting their own flavors in everything, in SDNs, in working and everything. So now the message has changed. I think this is sometimes confused professionals, in the community. What do you think?
Look, the message is changing because these guys are, look, we're all techies and we like technology, right? But we need to understand that in any business, there are 2 layers. There is the technology layer, and then there is the business layer. And in the end, no matter how fancy the technology is, the business has to make sense. Yep. If you're investing in a piece of technology that neither gonna generate revenue or save you cost, in the end, the business decision maker will say, "Thank you so much. I don't wanna pay another dollar on this anymore," right? And the reality is, and this is what AT&T realized, that after 10 years of building their own cloud stack, contributing to ONAP, or actually almost creating ONAP and giving it away, etc., is that they got nothing out of this, neither cost savings nor additional revenue. And the decision was that simple. To the business user, I'm quite sure that all the engineers and developers behind these stacks they were devastated, because this is like a big part of their work. But this is how the world works, right?
And they handed over, Karim, the network cloud, all the ONAP stack, all the full telco cloud, they handed over with the engineers to Microsoft. Just to show you the big shift that Jeremy Legg had in his mind as well, the CTO of AT&T. He said, you know what, I need to use the same investment I used to build within the SDN and the infrastructure and move it layer up. I think this would produce a lot of money and give that to someone else who knows their infrastructure and stuff.
True.